want to talk a little bit about how my residency experience was a little bit different from maybe some other urology trainees, the VUI and what it means to me, and then just kind of looking ahead. So what does the VUI stand for? When I thought about this, I thought I could do a little bit of an acronym for the VUI, and the first word that came to me was visionary. And then I looked it up in the dictionary, and it was pretty interesting to find some of the definitions: unreal, imaginary, purely idealistic, speculative. And if you look under the noun, it says highly speculative, impractical ideas or schemes, a dreamer. But I don't want to get too discouraged, because when I Googled visionaries, it was a pretty impressive list of candidates, to name a few. Okay, so this is a visionary, not my visionary. And these are my visionaries. And I had the pleasure of spending 6 years with Dr. Menon. I think I speak for the group sitting at this panel that Dr. Menon has been a visionary for all of us. And just to be a part of watching the process has been something truly amazing. And I think in addition to visionaries, we all need mentors, and this is just a list of mentors that have meant and impacted my development. And I think a mentor's role is career planning and clinical decision making, and oftentimes just a shoulder to cry on, sometimes, which is the most important thing of all. U is for understudy, to study another actor's part in order to substitute in an emergency. And if I had to tell one thing about being a robotic trainee and then developing a program, it's appreciating that you don't always have to be at the console, and that so much of it is this step-by-step process. You don't have to be too eager to do the whole case yourself, but if you watch and you observe and appreciate the role as an understudy, then you're really able to understand the whole process of robotics, and I was fortunate to be a part of that. I is for ingest, invest, enjoy, to read as much as you can, to watch and observe as much as you can, scrub whenever possible, and really learn to ask the questions. I remember the first paper I tried to write with Dr. Menon, I think he was pulling his hair out many mornings trying to put something feasible on a piece of paper. But that's what residency is about, and that's what we were exposed to, is the understanding that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn and you're going to try, and you can develop these skills more when you come out. When you invest, for me, input equals output, and you have to take every opportunity that you can. And I don't think any other place gave us the opportunity, such as going to Malaysia, to go to Sunnyvale to develop products, to be a part of the cutting edge, something truly spectacular, and I can all say we were so happy to be a part of it. And I think this is maybe most important, is the ability to enjoy yourself when you're going through the whole process. I was recently privileged to listen to a surgical oncologist from Johns Hopkins that came to Indiana University on Wednesday to talk about burnout amongst surgeons. And it was pretty amazing, some of the numbers. Up to 40% of people will burn out. It leads to early retirement and divorce and all these very, very challenging things. And he talked a lot about understanding the ability to find peace both inside and outside of the workplace to truly define success. So these are things I got to do with the VUI that I think other residents did not. I was involved in over 600 robotic surgeries in 6 years. I was able to operate independently by the end of residency. I was taken out countless times by our chairman and his family, and other times just given his Amex Gold card and told to have fun. I spent thousands of hours with my program director while he patiently watched me struggle to learn robotics. I traveled to Intuitive and to Malaysia, and I was encouraged to participate in resident training and the selection process. And then in 2008, I set off for Bethesda. That was a 500-gram prostate that Dr. Stricker and Dr. Yoon took out, by the way, robotically. And all of a sudden, in Bethesda, the kidneys looked like this, and the adrenal glands looked like this. And after some of the fine work by Craig Rogers and Peter Pinto, we got to thinking that maybe we can translate some of the robotic skills that I learned at Henry Ford and apply them to the von Hippel-Lindau population and the hereditary renal syndrome patients. And we did an initial experience for doing partial nephrectomies for multiple renal masses. And we found that, yeah, this was reproducible. And not only was it reproducible robotically, but you could do some of the same off-clamp enucleative techniques that they had developed for years and years in the open model and apply these to the robotic forum. And we looked at adrenals and partial adrenals, and we published this looking at the VHL population predominantly in pheochromocytoma and being able to use robotics as a platform to develop this operation. And then we looked at, just to make sure that we weren't just doing robotic cases and publishing, but we looked at patients with long-term outcomes, 9 years, 40 years after partial nephrectomy in the VHL population to ensure that partial adrenalectomy, that recurrence-free numbers and steroid-free numbers were low at long-term follow-up, determining that in the VHL and FEO population, patients should undergo partial adrenalectomy whenever possible. These are some other projects that I'm currently working on, still with the NIH group. But I think in summary, being an attending is stressful as heck, and no matter how prepared you think you are when you go out, the first 6 months for me is hard. But I think being part of the VUI has given me the knowledge and skills to build on, and I always feel like I have a family here, and it's one of the reasons that we all make the trip out every year, is to be a part of that family. And ultimately, I think that that's appreciating both success inside and outside the workplace. Thank you.